Look, I never thought I'd be the kind of woman to say something like this out loud. But the truth is, I did. I told my husband that I couldn't handle being a mother anymore. I said the words I can't take back, and in that moment, I watched everything I loved slip through my fingers. It started slowly, long before I admitted it. Sleepless nights, endless crying, and the crushing weight of responsibility pressing down on my chest. Everyone tells you motherhood is beautiful, that it's natural, that the moment you hold your baby, you'll feel this magic bond that fixes everything. But no one tells you about the nights when you stare at the ceiling, too exhausted to move, yet too guilty to sleep. No one tells you about how your identity vanishes, how the woman you once were disappears under diapers, bottles, and constant need. My husband, David, he tried to understand at first. He'd tell me, "We'll get through this together." And maybe that was true. But as the weeks turned to months, I stopped believing him. I felt like I was drowning while he was standing on the shore, watching me fight to keep my head above water. The breaking point came on a Sunday morning. The house was a mess, crumbs everywhere, toys scattered across the floor, bottles in the sink. The kids were crying, both of them, and I just broke. My chest felt tight, my throat burned, and I snapped. I told him I couldn't do it anymore. I told him I couldn't handle motherhood. The look on his face still haunts me. It wasn't anger, it was pain. He stared at me like he didn't recognize me anymore, like the woman he married, the mother of his children, had just given up on him. He didn't yell, he didn't fight. He just went quiet, and that silence felt heavier than any scream. For days after, we barely spoke. He did the routines, breakfast, daycare drop-offs, bedtime stories. He picked up the slack where I faltered, and I let him. I sat in silence, numb, almost waiting for something to change, but instead, something inside him shifted. He stopped asking if I was okay. He stopped reaching for my hand in bed. And then, one evening, he packed. I watched him fold tiny clothes into a suitcase. I watched him carefully place their stuffed animals, their favorite pajamas, the blanket our daughter refused to sleep without. My hands shook as I asked, "What are you doing?" He looked at me, calm, steady, and said, "I'm giving you what you asked for. You said you couldn't handle motherhood. I won't force it on you anymore." And just like that, he left, with our kids, with my world. I collapsed on the floor that night. I thought I would feel relief, that without the constant pressure, the crying, the chaos, maybe I'd breathe again. But the silence wasn't freedom. It was torture. The house echoed with memories. Every toy left behind felt like a ghost. Every empty bed felt like a crime scene I created with my own words. Days blurred into nights. I scrolled through pictures on my phone, the ones I used to post with hashtags like #blessed and #momlife. Smiles that felt like lies, photos that hid the panic attacks, the tears in the shower, the hollow look in my eyes when no one was watching. I wondered how I could have been so blind, how I could let exhaustion turn into surrender, how I could let my pain push away the only people who truly loved me. The hardest part? Seeing them without me. David sent updates at first. Pictures of the kids at the park, laughing, playing, smiling in ways I hadn't seen in months. At first, it hurt. Then it destroyed me, because I realized they were happier without me. I wanted to call him, to beg him to come back, to promise I'd try harder. But every time I picked up the phone, my hand froze. What would I even say? That I lied? That I didn't mean it? That I did, but now I regret it? Words already cut too deep. I started going to therapy because I had nowhere else to turn. Sitting in that small room, I confessed everything. The pressure, the guilt, the fear of not being enough. My therapist told me something that shattered me. You weren't failing as a mother. You were suffering alone. And that's the truth. I wasn't broken because I was unfit. I was broken because I refused to ask for help until it was too late. I thought admitting weakness would make me less of a mother, but instead, silence made me lose motherhood altogether. Weeks turned into months. The distance between us grew wider. David moved to another city with the kids. They started school there. Their lives began to move on, without me. And I was left behind with the echo of one sentence that destroyed everything. I replay it over and over. I can't handle motherhood. It's not that I couldn't love them. It's that I was drowning and didn't know how to say help me, and now the people who needed me most are gone. I don't know if he'll ever forgive me. I don't know if my kids will ever look at me the same way again. All I know is that I let my darkest moment define me, and it cost me everything. So if you're listening to this and you've ever felt the weight of motherhood crushing you, please don't stay silent like I did. Don't wait until the words slip out in anger and grief. Don't let the people you love walk away because you didn't know how to say, "I'm struggling." Because once they're gone, once the house is empty and the silence takes over, you'll realize motherhood wasn't the burden. Loneliness is.